Hello fellow readers and readeresses, and welcome to the 19th, 20th, and the first for 2026 installment of the Lord of the Rings 2, the two libraries, the most precious TBR game. Today, we'll be selecting my TBR for January of 2026, and while I'm a little bit late with this video, I already started reading some stuff, so let's hope I find a way to sneak them onto the TBR, otherwise I'm kinda screwed, as per usual. Anyways, if you're not familiar with the Lord of the Rings and you wish to become intimately acquainted with it, you can watch this video over here. But in a nutshell, we need to get from here to here by rolling a 12-sided dice as many times as it takes to achieve this goal, and each time we land on a tile, we pick a book to correspond to its prompt. Speaking of tiles, there are 4 kinds, starting with the empty tile, which has no prompt, so upon landing on it, I will have to pull one of the prompt cards. There are overall 100 of those, and each of them contains a different Lord of the Rings related reading prompt. Next we have the series tile, and when I land on it, I will be prompted to pick one of the series I currently have stuck in progress and continue with it. Next we have the TBR jar tile, and when I land on it, I will have to pull one of the books from the TBR jar, and if you're curious as to what's inside, you can watch last year's January TBR video. I was thinking of changing the contents of the jar, but I think I will rather update it periodically, and I have an idea with what, but I will probably tell you in the next TBR video. For now, it remains as it was. And last, and definitely least, we have the Dead Marshes tile, and when I land on it, I will have to go back either to the previous Dead Marshes tile or to the beginning of the game, and in conjunction with that, I will have to pull one of the books from the bookshelf jar, which contains all the books that I currently own and haven't yet read. Unfortunately for me, I haven't updated the jar with all the books that I purchased last year, and I was thinking of doing it for the new year, but I didn't have the time, so I'll try to do that for February because I really want to read these books. And I'm kind of working against myself here by not putting them in the jar, so stay tuned for that. And once I reach the end of the map, I get to pick one book without a prompt as a reward for all of my efforts. And that's pretty much it. If you like The Lord of the Rings and you wish to play it for yourself, I have provided both printable and digital version, both of which you can find in the video description. Enjoy! And before we start playing the game, there is, as always, one more thing left to do, and that is to look at the prompt cards that I got last month and see whether I get to add them to my collection or not. So let's do that. Alright, so the first prompt card I got was Feanor, which is a part of the Elves collection, and its prompt is Read a Fantasy. For this one I chose Berserker by Emil Minchev, and unfortunately while I started reading it I wasn't able to finish it, so I don't get the card, and I gotta tell you, I'm not doing too well with the elves at all. As you can see, I haven't unlocked a single card, and I've gotten quite a few of them actually. But whatever. The next prompt card I got was Mount Doom, which is a part of the Realm of the Dark Lord collection, and its prompt is Read an Unwhole Candidate. For this one I chose The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen, and I actually was able to finish it. Then I got Warning of Winter, which is a part of the Songs and Poems collection, and its prompt is Read a Book Set in Winter. For this one I chose 61 Hours by Lee Child, and I am so happy that I was able to finish it, and with that, as you can see, the whole collection. Then I got Nameless Things, which is a part of the Names of Legend collection, and its prompt is Read a book that starts with the same letter as your name. For this one I chose Salem's Lot by Stephen King, and I was able to finish it. And the last prompt card I got was 3 Elven Rings, which is a part of the Rings of Middle-earth collection, and its prompt is Read a book from a trilogy. For this one I chose Empire of the Dawn by J. Kristoff, and while I started reading it, unfortunately I wasn't able to finish it before the end of December. And so at the end, 3 prompt cards get added to my collection and 2 go back into the deck. In addition to that, as I already mentioned, I was able to fulfill the Songs and Poems collection, and thus, as a reward, I get to buy 2 books, which I have actually already purchased in advance. Now, at this point, we would usually start the game by rolling to see who's going to be my companion this month. However, I have a little bit of a surprise for you for the new year, and that is that we have a new character that will be added to the Fellowship of the Reed starting today. I actually added this character to the game all the way back in September of last year, but I did it specifically for Brian from BellTube, who played the Lord of the Reeds for his October TBR, I believe, and we filmed it together and it was a lot of fun. And up until this moment, this character wasn't available to play with, and in order to properly introduce you to that character, I will play with him today. That character is the double-sided coin of SMEAGOL, and Gollum. Now, you probably know that Gollum's personality is duplicitous due to the influence of the ring, and as such, his skill is also two-sided. And which side you get to play with depends entirely on the number that you roll. So if you roll an uneven number, 1, 3, 5, etc., you trigger the SMEAGOL personality, which adds 1 to whatever number you roll. And if you land on the Denmarsh's tile with SMEAGOL, you don't have to go back, you only have to pull a book from the bookshelf jar. However, if you roll an even number, 2, 4, 6, etc., you trigger Gollum's personality, which deducts 1 from whatever number it is you rolled. And if you land on the Denmarsh's tile with Gollum, you don't have to pull a book from the bookshelf jar, but you have to go back to the beginning every single time, regardless of which Denmarsh's tile you landed on. And considering my history with luck, you can probably deduce why it's a bad idea for me to be playing with this thing, but I will do it for you. You're welcome. Now, I designed and printed and cut very badly this token all the way back in September, and I was thinking of changing it today, but I forgot and I don't have the time right now. So please excuse all the ugliness and unevenness. The one that you will find in the resources that are linked in the video description is much, much better. All right, enough yapping. Gollum/SMEAGOL goes on the board as my avatar. And now it's finally time to play the game for my January TBR, starting with roll number 1. And we have a 6, which means that we're triggering Gollum's personality and thus only moving 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're landing on the prompt cards. Alrighty, we didn't start too strong, but I'm happy that we didn't land on anything too nasty, and I'm always happy to pull a prompt card. So, let's see what prompt number 1 is going to be. Bilbo Baggins, read a self-published book. Okay, you know what? I think I know which book I'm gonna pick already. Alright, this is a book that I've been wanting to read for a while now, I think ever since it came out at some point last year, I believe. The book is actually by a booktuber family, and that is Discovery by J.A.J. Minton, which the initials J.A.J. stand for the first letters in the names John, Amy, and their son Jacob from the BookTube channel, Talking Story, which is one of my favorite YouTube channels in general. I don't really know what the book is about, but Goodreads says that it's horror/fantasy/science fiction and the first book in the Strange Eon series. I have seen it multiple times on Instagram and I've obviously heard John talking about it, but thankfully my memory is terrible when it comes to book synopsises, so I'm very much looking forward to being surprised all over again to find out the contents of this story. Alright, so book number 1 for January and respectively for 2026 has been selected, and I couldn't be happier that it's this exact book with this exact prompt. Now, let's get to roll number 2. And we have an 11, which means that we trigger SMEAGOL's personality and we will move 12, and I really hope this is not going to land me somewhere bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Alright, prompt cards again. Alright, so that was close, and obviously there was no possibility for me to land on the Denmarsh's tile on this particular roll because 12 is the highest I can roll, but to be honest with you, I would have been happy to land on the Denmarsh's with SMEAGOL, because then I wouldn't have to go back. Either way, it's okay. It's a good roll. We moved significantly far into the map, if that's the proper way to say words. So I'm gonna shut up now and we're gonna see what prompt number 2 is going to be. Elrond, the book that's been on your TBR the longest. Alright, so here's the thing. I can no longer log into my Goodreads account because
I used to log in with my Facebook, and that has been discontinued as an option for a while now, but I still had login in one of my browsers, and I get some updates regardless.
I can no longer log in, which is why I'm gonna consider as books being the longest on my TBR, books that I have purchased earliest in my life according to my reading diary. So let's look into it. All right, let's do it. So we go to my library tab and we sort the books based on date acquired from A to Z. And, oh, okay. Oh, this is a book in Bulgarian, and give me a second. Alright, so the book is called Ants and Gods and is by Stefan Tanev, who is a local writer and a poet, and I am familiar with his poetry, but I've never read his prose. I think this is either a historical fiction or literary fiction or somewhere in between, and is actually a gift by my mom all the way back in 2017, obviously, and I still haven't read it for some reason. I don't know why. I've actually met the guy and he was very, very nice. We had a conversation last year in summer. There was a poetry reading on the beach here and they were reading some of his poems and he was there. We had a nice chat, a very nice older gentleman. So I would be very happy to give this one a try. This seems to be volume 5 of his gathered works, and I don't know if this is a good place to start, but I'm gonna anyway. I am happy that this book came up, honestly, because I was gonna procrastinate it into eternity otherwise, and this is a good opportunity to read a beautiful gift by my beautiful mom. So we have 2 books on the TBR, and while the second one is a little bit surprising to me, I am still very happy with it, and I am very much looking forward to it, to be honest. Now, let's get to roll number 3. No. Alright, I have absolutely no words to describe how I'm feeling at this moment. So, we rolled 2, but because it's 2, we trigger Gollum's personality, and we only move 1. And because we landed on the Dead Marshes style with Gollum, we now have to go back all the way to the beginning. Who's surprised? Anyone? I told you something like this was gonna happen. So, we are back at the beginning, but at least we don't have to pull a book out of... I'm trying to find a way to be positive about this, but it just sucks. So, we are starting from the beginning, and this is going to be roll number 4. And we have a 4, which means 5. Well, it actually means only 3 because we're playing with Gollum, dummy. Alright, let's go. 1, 2, and 3. And we landed on the series tile. Alright, this was rather disappointing as a number, but it did land me on the series tile, which allows me to put on the TBR a book that I'm actually already reading, and that is Persepolis Rising by James S.A. Corey. This is an adult sci-fi space opera and the 7th book in the Expanse series, which is one of my favorite contemporary sci-fi series and actually one of my favorite sci-fi series as a whole. If you haven't read this series yet, I highly recommend you give it a try because you get fantastic world building, fantastic science, great action, and a ton of amazing characters that you get to follow, not so much in book 1, but later on. And this is actually one of the things that I'm the most impressed by with these 2 authors that are writing this series, is that they write so many characters, but they manage to make every single one of them matter and be interesting to follow, which is very rare when it comes to cast of such magnitude. So I couldn't wait for the TBR to start reading this book because I didn't have the time to film it, but I got the itch to read it, and I started it. I'm only 45 pages into it, but I'm already having a great time, and we're nearing the ending of the series, so things are getting even more intense, even though they've been intense through the whole series and every single book. Anyway, I was looking forward to this. I'm happy I got to put it on the TBR, so there. Alright, we are 4 rolls in, but we only have 3 books on the TBR, which is great. So let's get to roll number 5. A 6. Okay, so because this is an even number, we get to play with Gollum again, and he kind of saves us from the Dead Marshes, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so Gollum kind of saved us from the Dead Martian style, but all that does is prevent us from having to pull a book from the bookshelf jar, which could potentially be a good thing. Jesus. Anyway, I forgot where I was going with this, so let's just see what prompt number 4 is going to be. The Fall of Numenor, a historical fiction / a book with a historical setting. Let me think about it. Yeah, this is probably a bad choice, but I mean, who cares? Alright, so the book that I decided to go with is a bit chunky, but it has been recommended by absolutely everybody whose opinion I respect and who's read it, obviously. And that book is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. This is a book that I've been wanting to read for about 2 years, I think, ever since I first heard of it. I do like Western-ish books, and I do like books about tough men, basically. I've heard great things about the author's writing and about the character work and about the setting and about all of it. Honestly, I don't want to read the synopsis because I don't want to create any particular expectations about what the story is going to be. I love this cover, and I'm very much looking forward to finding out what the narrative is. As I said, the book is gigantic. It's basically 900 pages. And it also smells amazing, you know, like how books smell. Anyway, looking forward to this one. I don't know what else to say. You've probably heard of it more than I have. And I'd be curious to hear your opinions in the video description about it if you've read it. But please keep it spoiler free. Alrighty, so 4 books on the TBR. And if you can see behind me, you can see how massive this book actually is. Again, it's probably not the best choice to be picking such a huge book, considering that one of the roles got me back to the beginning of the game in a very unpleasant way, but still, it's what I want to read, so why not give it a try? Now, let's get to roll number 6, I think, yes. An 8, which means Gollum again, and we'll be moving only 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we'll do the prompt cards yet again. Okay, so that was an okay roll. I don't know why I keep on rolling Gollum. I just hope we don't get to land on the Dead Martian style with him anymore, because I don't think I can live through it. Alright, let's see what prompt number 5 is going to be. Because, you know, roll number 6, but prompt number 5, because we didn't pull a book that one time. You know, I don't know what I'm explaining. You're not stupid. Battle of the Morannon. Morannon? Read a book that scares you. I think I know which book I'm gonna pick. No thinking required. Alright, so ever since I can remember, I've been scared by one particular book, and I can't even tell you exactly why. I think it was because when I was a child, I watched a scene from the movie adaptation of the book, and it scared the hell out of me. And that movie was The Shining, based on The Shining by Stephen King, which is going to be the book I'm selecting for this particular prompt. I actually wanted to read it in January anyway. If you've watched my previous TBR, or in some video recently, I said that I wanted to read more Stephen King, and I decided to do it in the publication order of his books. And the next one on the list is this one, and I am very much looking forward to it because recently I've been really enjoying Stephen King's earlier works. They're brilliant, they really match me, and I discovered that I actually enjoy horror, and his particular style of horror in particular. I don't currently own the book, but I've ordered it already, and hopefully it will arrive within the next 2 weeks so that I don't have to read it as an ebook. But either way, it's gonna be read in January, and yeah, I'm excited. Alright, we have 5 books on the TBR, and this is a great TBR so far. I'm gonna be honest. Yes, it's gonna be gigantic most likely. Yes, I probably won't be able to read all of the books, but all of them thus far are just books that I am genuinely looking forward to. Anyway, enough yapping. Let's get to roll number 7. 3, which means that we'll be playing with SMEAGOL, and thank God for that, because look at where 3 would have landed us. But thanks to SMEAGOL, we're moving 4, and we'll do the prompt cards instead of crying. Okay, so that was not a big roll, but it was a good enough one that we passed the second Dead Marsha style. And even though that means nothing in this particular case, because things can always go terribly bad at any point, I am still very happy we were able to achieve this or whatever. Anyway, let's see what prompt number 6 is going to be. Fog on the Barrow Downs, read a book from the lowest shelf. Ooh, interesting. Oh, I have some very interesting books on the lowest shelves. I have some classics, I have some thrillers, I have some horror, I have some Bulgarian literature, but I already know what I'm reading. Okay, so in my last month's TBR, I was prompted to read a book set in winter, and if you watch the video, you probably could see how many hoops I tried to jump and twist things around so that I can manage to fit 61 Hours by Lee Child, because I wanted to read a Jack Reacher's novel, and reading it actually reminded me how much I enjoy this author's writing. Yeah, I know it's not high literature, whatever, mind your business. Long story, not really shortened, I wanted to read more Jack Reacher books, which is why I am going to pick Bad Luck in Trouble by Lee Child. This is book number 11 in the Jack Reacher series, which is a military thriller action series that, as I mentioned already, I very much enjoy. And it's conveniently located on the lowest shelf of my bookshelves. Now, I was gonna show you, but it's already like 11 p.m. and I don't feel like moving the camera, and my cat is getting really annoyed with me for not paying attention to her. Anyway, I love these books. I find them very cozy and very relaxing, and I'm very much looking forward to getting into this one. Okay, we have 6 books on the TBR. It continues to be fantastic. Again, it's huge, but I am very happy with its contents. Now, let's get to roll number 8. At 12, which means 11. Which means I could potentially be in huge trouble, and I don't even want to look at this board right now, but I guess I have to. So let's move 11 with GOLLUM at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. My goodness. Who'll do the prompt cards? Oh boy, I don't know if GOLLUM has saved us or screwed us at this point, but I am happy because we moved closer to the end, and I'm not gonna say anything else. Let's just see what prompt number 7 is going to be. Sauron, read a horror/scary book. What is happening here today? Oh my god. I'm really happy with this prompt. I just have to think about which book I'm gonna pick. So I didn't have to think too long, and the book that I decided to go with is Forever Odd by Dean Koontz, whom a lot of people call the poor man's Stephen King or something like that. This is an adult horror/paranormal thriller, and the second book in the Odd Thomas series. I enjoyed the first book immensely, had such a great time with it, and I am very, very much looking forward to reading the second book. Actually, I've been wanting to read it ever since I read book 1, but I only recently got this one. I guess it's time. This is gonna be the month of horror-ish books, and I don't hate it. Seriously, if you haven't given Odd Thomas a try, I highly recommend you check it out because it's such a beautiful and meaningful story, on top of it being very interesting. Alrighty, we have 7 books on the TBR, and again, it continues to be phenomenal. Should I say it? I'm gonna say it. We have a chance for this to be the last roll. I really hope it turns out to be the last roll. So let's find out. A roll number, wait, is this 9, 8? I lost the count. It's gonna be whatever I put on the screen. 4. This is painful. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy because we are passing the last Dead Marshes tile. Yay! But we landed on the very last tile of the map, which, well, it could be worse. Well, one last shot has been taken at me by my own creation. It's a Frankenstein's monster all over again. All right, let's see what prompt number 8, yes, is going to be. So stupid. Grima Wormtongue, read the lowest rated book on your TBR. Well, I guess it can be all good, can it? All right, let's go to the reading diary and find out what the lowest rated book that I own and haven't yet read is. Screen recording. We sort books by public rating from A to Z. Damned by Chuck Palahniuk. When I tell you this is the month of horror, I'm not even joking. Alrighty, so Damned by Chuck Palahniuk is, according to the internet's fantasy horror / humor. Don't really know what it's about, never read anything by the author, even though I've owned Fight Club for a few years at this point. This one was recommended by a friend of mine, which is why I bought it, and never really got to reading it. And I guess now is about time I do it if I'm able to in January. I'm excited. Again, I've been very curious and I'm looking forward to finding out. It's the lowest rated book that I own and haven't yet read, but it's not all that low rated. I mean, it's 3.4 stars, which is kind of low on Goodreads, but still, it's not terrible. So I'm happy. All right, we have 8 books on the TBR, all of them very interesting choices, all of them spark my desire to read. And now we are about to do the last roll because nothing can go wrong at this point unless I somehow find a way to roll negative, which is not out of the realm of possibilities at this point. All right, let's do roll number 9. Even though it's not necessary, I like to do it for the ritual.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. But we have a 7, which means 8.
And we're out. All right, so we're finally out of the map in this very eventful game, and I was initially going to choose another book as my reward, but I was looking at the TBR, and that book is already very similar to the vast majority of the books that I'm going to be forced to read. So considering there's not a single female author in sight, I decided to go with one of my favorite authors and the last book from her bibliography that I haven't yet read, and that is Lady Susan by Jane Austen. This is a very nice hardback cloth-bound edition that I found the other day in the store, and I couldn't resist buying it. And considering that this is again the last book of Jane Austen's that I haven't yet read, and it's very difficult to find actually in any other edition, I immediately purchased it, and now I'm gonna give it a try. It's also very short, so it's gonna fit nicely in my already gigantic pile. I'm very curious to read this because it's the one that I know the least about. Actually, I know nothing about it. I think it was published after she passed away, but don't quote me on that because I might be confusing it with the story of another author. Either way, it's gonna be a brand new thing by an author that I absolutely adore, which is usually a nice thing. And so, my TBR for January of 2026 is going to include Discovery by J.A.J. Minton, Ants and Gods by Stefan Sanev, Persepolis Rising by James S.A. Corey, Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, The Shining by Stephen King, Bad Luck in Trouble by Lee Child, Forever Odd by Dean Koontz, Damned by Chuck Palahniuk, and Lady Susan by Jane Austen. So a total of 9 books, and no chance in hell I read all of them. And that concludes the first TBR of 2026. And while honestly it's gigantic and I definitely won't be able to read all the books on this list, I am so very happy that it turned out this way, because now I have this lovely pool of opportunity to read books that I am absolutely excited about, literally every single one of them. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please let me know what you're reading in January and what is the book that you're the most excited about. Also, let me know how your holidays went and how you're doing. Thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to see what are the new releases of 2026 that I'm excited about reading, check out this video. Bye!